Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Join me today for the Fitchburg Star, our star, Kimberly. Kimberly, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you.
I just love having you on the show and embarrassing you every single time. So it's worth every penny. And we got a lot to talk about today for a council recap. And you're still crossing into my territory with COVID-19 update. But it's for good reason as numbers are going down. And you're going to make us really happy. Tell us some updates there.
Try.
You're going to try.
I'm going to try. So we'll start with council. So you might remember if you watched this last Talking Fitchburg with me, we talked a little bit about how they were doing or they were considering renaming City Hall for former Mayor Francis Huntley Cooper. Alders during the committee of the whole meeting were kind of in two camps where either they were in support of it or they were against it, not because of Frances herself, but because they were unsure about naming any sort of city entity for a specific person outside of parks or things like that. So we can actually now expect a resolution to come forward that would prohibit the naming of city buildings such as City Hall and the police and fire stations after a specific person. That will likely come forward from Alder Jim Wheeler. I don't have a timeline for when that'll come forward, but we can expect that. So really his main reasoning is that he doesn't feel a singular person should be elevated above democracy. So that's kind of the reasoning there. And it sounds like they're talking about other ways to honor Frances's contributions to the community that might not necessarily involve naming City Hall. So the conversation around whether to name something in the city or City Hall after Frances is not necessarily a dead topic, but know that a competing topic will also come forward on that. So that's about all I've got for you. I wish I had more, but it's something to look out for in the next few weeks.
Sounds good. We'll keep an eye on it. And so will you. You also have the new apartment complex to talk about, and it's not the one you talked about last time.
I know. So I'm going to preclude this by saying nothing is set in stone with an apartment complex until you get that thing literally opened and ready to go and rented to people. So don't take what I'm about to say here as like this is the final decision, because it's not. So but Plan Commission is going to discuss or it's planning to discuss a 178 unit apartment complex on Traceway Drive. And so to paint the picture for you a little bit, it's right across from the Highline Senior Apartments and would be right next to the hub. So that area is not going to be taking, or that development would not be taking over for the area that the hub is going to be planned for, but would be directly adjacent to it. So it's more showing that there is more and more apartment development coming to that North Fish Hatchery Road. They've been looking at this for some time, back in like the early 2000s before the recession. In 2019, they refreshed the North Fish Hatchery Road planning, where they outlined areas that could be open for redevelopment. And this area was one of them. So it feels like there's a lot of redeveloping happening on Fish Hatchery Road. And if you feel that way, that's why. So this still has to go through Plan Commission for the initial zoning, and we'll come back to Plan Commission and Council multiple times before this actually gets built. So just putting it on people's radar that this is a big project that is expected to go through city processes relatively soon. So, and it's going on kind of at the same time as another 170 unit apartment complex that would be on the other side of North Fish Hatchery Road, more towards the credit union and Index Road. So within a few years, we could have another, so that's math, oh my goodness, 348 apartment units on Fish Hatchery Road. I feel like I deserve a gold star for doing math in my head. You got one of those available, Jeremy?
No, not gonna do it. Never. That's one thing you don't do on TV is you don't do math live ever, because then you get yourself into this trouble. So That's okay. We'll teach you how to do some of that work down the road. You can follow up on the progress of those meetings, though, as you had mentioned, as it works through the progress here through the city's website. Madison Metro contract, there was an update on kind of what will be happening this year.
Yeah, so people will still have access to Madison Metro. That is the baseline. But there are some changes to the contract that change how cities like Fitchburg and some of the other partner cities that also contract with Madison Metro, such as Verona and Sun Prairie, also deal with their contracts. So one of the big ones is that there is a service floor that has been established where whether those hours are used or not, the city of Fitchburg is still going to, you have to be billed for and pay for 90% of its hours. An important thing to note though, is that floor hour, or that hour floor, we are having a really hard time with words today, Jeremy. This sucks.
That's every day for me. Don't worry.
It's every day.
Fine. You're fine.
But so that floor that is established is based off of 2019 numbers. So the pandemic has decreased ridership for Madison Metro, for Fitchburg stops by somewhere between a third and sometimes half of what it was pre-pandemic. So if you want to ride the bus, don't feel guilty about it, because Fitchburg will need to use those hours and will be billed for those hours no matter what. So there's also a very financially nerdy thing stuck in this contract that will help stabilize costs for Madison Metro, where the city of Fitchburg will be expected to start with 90% of the costs in a bank account, and it has to keep a certain amount of money in there to stabilize ride costs. And if the city of Fitchburg at any time wanted to pull out of this contract, any money it would have in this account would get dispersed elsewhere. So kind of keeping the city in this contract is both in the benefit of Madison Metro and the city of Fitchburg in that sense. So,
Yeesh.
I know.
It's a lot of information, and it was explained through council, and we're glad you broke it down, because it's complex, but it's the contract.
I'm sure people at the city council meeting explained it much better. So Jeremy, just throw a link down there for the council meeting, and people can actually watch that.
Hey, no, that's why we have you here, to break it down for us. We appreciate it. Finally, COVID-19 update. We continue to see the numbers go down statewide in Dane County. In fact, today we were hearing that the numbers in Dane County going down, and vaccination rate in that 60%.
Yeah. So what was it? 4 weeks ago, I came on your show and I was like, oh my God, cases are so high. There are 1,200 new cases of COVID this week. Please keep yourself safe. Gave my mother spiel to make sure everyone was safe. Whether people listened to me or not, I hope you did. If you didn't, I'll never know. But there are only 50 new cases this week in comparison to that 1,200. So that the frame of time I'm looking at is Monday to Friday. So it doesn't include the weekend cases, but that is far better than where we were at 4 weeks ago. So just wanted to bring some positive news. Hospitalizations are down from their high somewhere in the range of 90 patients to 100 patients. So that's also really good. It's something we want to see. And I know you're going to hate this, Jeremy. I know you're going to hate this, but Madison Metropolitan Sewage District numbers are also either stabilizing or going down. They are showing a moderate decrease. So,
at the back of my mind, by the way, I'm thinking, should I ask you the question about the Madison Sewer District? But I wasn't going to, but there you go, right down the tubes. So at that, we're going to go ahead and put a pin in that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for the update. And if people want to find out more about some of the stuff you're working on, where can they do that?
Yeah, you can go to fitchburgstar.com. We update that weekly with stories from government, stories from school, stories from sports. So it's always a great place to go to find your local and a little bit more of regional news, since, we got 3 school districts here. So
Darn right we do. And we love every penny of it. Thank you so much for your time, Kimberly. Appreciate it as always. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you now in a couple weeks.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.